have the sign-up sheets here, if you would like to speak.
We haven't even opened the meeting yet.
Not yet, Sharon.
Sharon, we haven't opened the meeting yet. Not yet.
She's ready.
All right.
All right, we're gonna start out with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If there's an emergency, we're gonna exit out that door and make the next left. Hopefully there is none, so be patient. Meeting's now open, but at the beginning of meetings, I promised the school superintendent he'd speak first tonight. So whichever one of you, the school superintendent, come up to the mic and speak, please.
Depends on what day it is. Hi, how are you? Ray Castellani, Superintendent. My Deputy Superintendent, Robert Farrier. Thank you for having me. The Planning Board had asked me to come to speak, I guess to answer any questions in regards to the Cascade Creek
Correct.
and the impact on the school district. So I'm here for any questions that you may have.
Any questions or concerns? From one end of the board to the other. Any questions or concerns? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ted.
I mean, we're basically trying to determine what kind of impact 28 houses would have on the school district. If it would be a significant adverse or whatever kind of impact. I know that you lost some students back after COVID. I don't know whether they've been replaced or you've been replenished in your student pool, and I'm just curious, how are the facilities now?
Sure. So I think the word impact is the most important word. There's accommodate, there's house, and there's impact. So 28 houses bringing in however many students, whatever formula you use, could we accommodate students, a number of students coming into the district? Yes. Obviously not all in one grade level, which wouldn't be the case anyway. But if it was spread out, if there were 28 students, one for each house, which that's whatever form you may have, is everything from 12 to upwards of 50. 28 students we could house, accommodate. Impact for our school district is really the key word for us. And I don't want to use the word adverse or positive because when we're talking about children. Our school district is a small school district with about 630 students total in the district. We could accommodate more students, but the impact of those students coming in, depending on what type of services they need or what type of disabilities they may have, whether they be English language learners, whether they have students with disabilities, would have significant impact on our school district. Now, you can't say which type of students are going to come, obviously, but so for me to say impact, there would be a significant impact in any way for students coming if they need services. Accommodate, do we have room for 12, 15, 25, 30 students throughout K through 12? Yes, but I think the key word is impact for us. So whatever question you ask me, I can go either way. Can we accommodate? House? Yes. Impact? It's a major impact on our student population in regards to depending on what services those children need. Is that fair?
Impact meaning resources dedicated to each.
The resources. We have a student population with high needs. We have about 28% of our students receive ELL services, English language learners. That's heavy-duty cost for that. We have about 30% of our students that are students with disabilities that receive special education services. We have students that, when they have those services, sometimes they're not, we don't have the ability to provide the students with those services in our school district. We have to send them to other schools, whether it be a BOCES program, whether it be another school district, even in Westchester County, Orange County, Ulster County. Transportation, those services, they cost money, and upwards of some students over $200,000 each when you add in transportation and the services. So the impact, and again, I don't think that you can tell what type of student's going to come, and we welcome all students. I want to make sure that we know that. But the word impact is something that I want to make sure that it will have an impact on our schools, and not on the physical part of the school, but on the overall budget, on the overall services and programs that we would be able to offer.
As a previous educator myself, you don't have a crystal ball.
Nope.
So you have to service whoever comes
That's
to you. And I'm just concerned about the demographics changing. I know the Hispanic population has increased significantly. Does that mean you have to hire teachers who are bilingual as well?
Well, you would think they'd be bilingual, but New York State, because there's such a shortage of English language learner teachers, that many of them are not bilingual, but they are trained in delivering services for those students. I can tell you this, when I first came here 11 years ago, we had 2 English language learner teachers. Right now we have 4 or 5? 4.
Okay.
Is there any other questions from the board?
I mean, well, can you talk about what the school district population was like 10 years ago and what you're projected to be a few years out?
Yeah, so we have been in around the same number of students over the last 11 years that I've been here. It fluctuates depending on birth rates, obviously. So it's really always been between 660 and about 620. So we predict that it'll still be in the 650 range. I don't think we have any other, Mr. Farrar, you can come up. He's one who really does a lot of the studies on this. I don't see our population dropping much below or getting into the 700s. I don't see that.
Right, and we did see a slight uptick during the COVID time period. And unlike other districts, we do see more seasonality in terms of our enrollment. So in September, you may see one enrollment number, and then if you look in January, February, and as we get into the warmer weather, we sometimes see a drop off because some of the students are then going out to the workforce and doing other things. So we lose those students in enrollment, or their parents relocate for various reasons. So where other districts you generally see from September to June a pretty consistent number, we do show a pretty wide range throughout the year, and that's a seasonality based on that. But the number really doesn't change that much.
One of the other things that we're doing is we've added a number of programs. So we have a full-day pre-kindergarten 4-year-old program, and this year we put in a pre-kindergarten 3-year-old program, which is the first in the county. So we are finding ways to educate our students as young as 3 years old. The other impact it would be transportation. We don't have enough bus drivers. We contract out hundreds of thousands of dollars to a local livery service who actually now works with us on our busing. So that's a lack of drivers, so not buses. There is impact on all these type of things.
Okay, but it sounds like it's not an issue of having to build more classrooms. You could accommodate students across the pre-K through 12 spectrum.
Sure, if we did 3 students per grade level, we could do that. 5 students per grade level, we can do that. If you're getting 10, 15 students per grade level, which I don't think we're talking about those numbers, that would be not possible.
Okay,
But space-wise, yes.
right, I mean, no one can predict
Nope.
where a student, I mean, someone could move into an existing house. and
Absolutely, absolutely. I would be remiss if, the word impact is the one that's always, I've done this before. The word impact is something that I make sure, I don't want to go, no, there's no impact. There will be an impact regardless of who moves wherever. But when you're bringing in a development where there's 28 homes, depending on how many students it is, that could be significant impact to the program,
Okay.
positive or negative.
And I think the difference too is in terms I have to look at, if you say families moving in and out, that's one or two, and that's a one-off type of thing we may be replacing. But now if you're adding a new development, that's an influx of new students that are not replacement students. Those are new to the district.
If you could tell me we brought in 10 really high-level softball players, baseball players, and basketball players, I'd say, let's say,
Can we make those points?
Wishful thinking. That all goes with coaching, so
sure.
if you got the right coach, you could have it, right?
Yes, yes,
You made the sectionals, that was good.
that's true.
That's good.
Very true.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. We're available, and
Thank
we
you for
welcome
your
you to come
time.
visit the school. Okay, thank you so much.
Any some questions for us? Thanks again. With that being said, now we're gonna go into our public hearing, 11th lot line adjustment. The public hearing is now open. Is anyone speaking? Do we have anyone speaking on the 11th one?
Yes, we have Sharon Kroger.
One person got to speak
Yes,
first.
Sharon.
Sharon's up first.
This is the Sharon Kroger, and I'm speaking as a coordinator of the Circle Tree and Flag Fund of Amenia Union. We have a small civic organization that manages the flag and the Christmas tree and whatnot at the place in the Union where Connecticut connects to New York. Good evening. There are 3 concerns that we need to share with you this evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
First, this type of change, which facilitates farming in the Weebatuck Agricultural Valley, is beneficial, and it is in the public interest. We do support it and the important planning and conservation that went into the earlier farm transfers. Secondly, the planning board needs to know that, and this is dealing with context. Secondly, the planning board needs to know that there has been communication difficulty and conflict about this small section of the road leading north into Amenia Union because of the tendency of some of the county public works engineers to ignore the important distinction between Amenia Union Road, which moves along, and where the vehicles can safely go 40 miles an hour, and the populated hamlet itself, which is distinctively different, including the sharp curves and incline just after entering the hamlet. Years ago, the Amenia Town Board had requested and obtained a slower speed on behalf of this hamlet, and there was a former transportation planner who understood and respected the unique nature of this historic hamlet. However, at this point in history, the white 40-mile-an-hour sign has been reposted just inside the hamlet in front of the old Weebatuck Grange building, after the sharp curve and before the next sharp curve leading to the 2 interstate road connections with Connecticut and the intersection where a motorcycle rider was killed 2 years ago, coming south from Leedsville. This is an accident waiting to happen, even before we add another point of access to the mix. County Public Works is not dealing with the dense population and pedestrian factors, with places of assemblage, 2 interstate road connections, and the blind driveways. The population factors are what they're not getting. They look at the physical road, but they're not looking at what happens there throughout the week and the day. Planning board and town board need to facilitate negotiation on our behalf. Third, not only is the project located in the Rural Agricultural Zoning District, the Floodplain Overlay District, and the Scenic Protection Overlay District, as stated, but it is also located within the Weebatuck Agricultural Valley Historic District, recognized by the state of New York in year 2024 and the feds in year 2025. This fact does not seem to be recognized as yet by County Public Works. Thank you. Here's the picture basically. The hamlets are rendered just separately as, and there's the union with these factors. It's an art map, but it says what it needs to say.
So when you say federally recognized, you mean on the state and national registers of historic places?
Yes, that's all in the record, you should see it if you look it up.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to have this, if you don't have one.
I'd be happy to take it. Thank you.
Ms. Crooker, Sharon,
Sharon,
can you, is that something you can submit to the board in writing?
I asked her to give you a copy.
Oh, okay, great, thank you,
I'll make sure I email it up to you.
thank you.
You're welcome. I was just handed it here, so.
All right.
is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? You wanna come forward? You got any comment? No.
No,
Okay,
I'm the surveyor for the project.
Okay. that's it?
Mr. Chair, this is relatively simple. It's a no-action alternative. Basically, what they are doing is.
Yeah, I gotta close the public hearing first.
Oh, you can, yeah.
Need a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wasn't jumping to the resolution. I was just
Go
setting the
ahead.
stage. That's for the attorney to do. Basically, it's really a no-action alternative. They're actually conveying a very small piece of property
Correct.
to another piece to make sense. And you adopted at last resolution, a resolution concerning seeker, making it type 2, and also accepting sketch plans. So tonight, based on the fact that there's no substantive public comment, you would be free to move on to the next step, which would be a resolution consideration. And any open comments I have are actually appear as conditions in that resolution.
Okay. For the council?
I mean, if you're ready, we have a resolution prepared.
Gentleman Lays, you ready for a resolution? Yes. I'd say so, yes.
All right, well, John read it, he's so good at it.
I can do that,
Yes, please.
because I read fast. Boy,
That's what I like.
she ditched that
I
quick.
pick up quickly.
All right, you do have a resolution in front of you. It is dated March 11th, 2026. It is a resolution granting final plat approval, Laurel Brook lot line alteration. And I'm going to jump to the now therefore be it resolved. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board hereby grants preliminary and final approval to the final plat and authorizes the chair or his authorized designee to sign the final plat after compliance with the following conditions. Number 1, payment of all fees and escrow. Number 2, planning board attorney of approval of a deed of conveyance and merger deed and undertaking from the applicant's attorney to record said deed after the final plat is filed in the office of the Dutchess County Clerk, and certification by the applicant's surveyor of the meets and bounds descriptions included with the deeds. Number 3, Department of Health permission to file endorsement. Number 4, revision of the final plat to include all owners' signatures. Revision of the final plat to include a surveyor's certification. We need a motion and a second, Mr. Chair.
Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
Need a roll call vote, Judy?
The foregoing resolution was voted upon with all members of the planning board voting as follows. Robert Boyle Jr., chairperson.
Yes.
Nina Peak, deputy chairperson.
Yes.
Lizette Fuller.
Yes.
James Walsh.
Yes.
John Stephanopoulos.
Yes.
Kenneth Popolski.
Yes.
And Jamie Vitiello is absent.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Here we go.
Just a question for clarification. The deed of conveyance, that's of the small parcel, the .45 acres. The merger deed, do I need a full description of the 500 acres? Or can I just use language saying
You can,
that the,
you can use language.
saying
just
that it
to
will
do-
be merged and made a part
Yes.
of the, okay.
Yeah, because we went through this the last time,
Yeah.
and it's no sense writing 10 pages for a quarter of
Right.
an acre.
I mean,
All right.
you can reference a filed
Yeah.
map, and that's a
Yeah.
legal description.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
can get by with something simple.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All set.
Okay, next public hearing is Sideline Recreation Facility. Public hearing, we'll do the public hearing first. Is there anyone on public comment on this?
I have nobody on my list, but
No one on the
there's
list.
several people that have come in. Anybody wish to speak?
Anyone wish to speak on this? Going once?
They drop
Anyone else want to speak? Does anyone else want to speak? Seeing none? I need a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing.
make the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
That's all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Patrick, it's your,
Evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Patrick O'Leary on behalf of Silent Commercial. Here tonight, close the public hearing. We have responded to the comments of Mr. Andrews. Those were provided last Friday afternoon. For clarity relative to the application that's before us, any discussion, thought, or otherwise regarding court lighting is not part of this application. This application is only for
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Can you, Rich, can you close the door?
sorry.
Lighting was an issue, so that's, I want to make sure
Right.
we're clear.
For absolute clarity, this application before you this evening for the site plan modification for Silent Commercial Property does not contain in any way, shape, or form any additional lighting associated with the courts. The possibility for that to occur has been withdrawn. It's not part of this application. If the community chooses to revisit it in the future, Silent Commercial will be happy to engage in discussions with them under a separate application in a separate action. So tonight is limited solely to the modifications associated with Silent Recreational, including the change in the easement area up above, expanding parking, and reconfiguring the central core of the area.
John?
And when it comes to lighting, just let me piggyback on what Mr. O'Leary has indicated. The court lighting is out. They are,
Turned on.
I would assume so.
Yes, can you hear? Is it showing up back there? Yes.
Doesn't actually
Can you
sound
scratch
like
it?
Hello?
but anyway. With respect to lighting,
Okay.
they are modifying the lighting from the original approval. And actually, if you look at the printouts, the new lighting is more efficient and more centered. So they come up with a better overall lighting plan. But to piggyback on a few things, they have submitted a secret consistency statement. They have modified their submission as they indicated. The cart path now ties into the emergency access. And that actually kind of benefits both, because now that the carts are using it, you know it's gonna be maintained. There's a couple, they made some minor changes to the irrigation. They've eliminated a above-ground cistern and are now going with an underground system connected to the pond on the northerly property. And the last thing to note, there are no changes in the existing operational program that you approved last time. So this is basically a slight amendment to memorialize changes in footprint and also changes in scope, because if you notice, the building has kind of morphed, but they now have 3 proposed phases. So it's covering all 3 phases, but they only plan on constructing phase number 1, which is the field house at this point in time. But they did do the full everything, and the site plan will accommodate the full development. So they shouldn't have to come back to you folks. And having said that, I believe it is ready for a resolution of final approval.
Are we,
Question,
go ahead.
what's your timetable on this, once you get approval?
Currently, the site is under construction. We're working on the field house right now. I'd say within the next 3 to 4 weeks, they'll be mobilized and beginning the site work that's associated with revising the drives, parking, et cetera.
And mentioned phases, you're going to do consecutive, or you're taking breaks between the phases, you're just starting this, finishing it, and
Starting this and finishing it. The 2 additional phases are looks into the future. If I had to put a time frame, maybe the second phase may take place in 2 years, somewhere in that time frame. But they have quite a bit of construction to go through to get the overall area stabilized. That will occur, and then they'll begin to look at the second phase.
Patrick, I have one question. It's not really to do with this, it's to do with the crosswalk. Remember, we talked about getting it to the rail trail?
Yes.
Any progress on that at all?
In the past 2 weeks, no.
Okay. I took a good picture. I'll show you afterwards exactly when I was on the rail trail today. And I'll show you after
Somebody-
the meeting.
Somebody,
A little bit of
going-
both.
okay,
So I don't want anyone to get killed there, you know,
understood. I'll reach out.
to the appropriate people, if you will.
Yeah, can you pass the information to John or Judy and the photos?
Yeah.
And I'll get correspondence initiated on that subject, if you
Okay.
don't,
Fair enough.
because there are other people for other meetings.
That's
so-
fair. Fair enough. Okay, with all that being said, for the attorney?
Yes, I do have one correction. You all have a resolution before you, but given this lighting discussion, the last clause said proposed lighting changes have been withdrawn, and I just want to add the words "for the courts" have been withdrawn, so there's no question that the lighting changes on the buildings and parking area are part of the application.
Is that what the difference between the old one and the revised?
The old one had that's not in there, I'm adding that. John Andrews very diligently suggested that we also add language, and this is what the difference is, that unless modified by this amended site plan, the terms and conditions of original approval dated March 23rd, 2022 remain in full force and effect. So we added some more protective language to make it clear that nothing else was changing unless it was modified by this plan. So the conditions of the original resolution are still valid.
There were some hours of operation, there were some other commitments that they made before they could get, for instance, a final CO of the site. There are certain, so we didn't want to jeopardize those, and it just didn't make sense to keep rewording them, just to incorporate them by reference.
That makes sense, thank you.
John, would you read off the resolution, please?
Certainly. You have a resolution in front of you, again dated March 11th, 2026, and it is a resolution granting site plan amendment approval for Siland Recreation Facility. I will jump to, Victoria did identify the small change in the last whereas, but I will jump now to the now therefore be it resolved. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby reaffirms the March 23rd, 2022 negative declaration determining that the project as proposed will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby approves the amended site plan and authorizes the chair or his authorized designee to sign the site plan after compliance with the following conditions. Payment of all fees and escrows, approval by the planning board engineer and attorney for an easement for the water line and proof of recording, and it deals with the cart path as well.
You want to add that, water line and cart path?
Yes.
Okay.
And be it further resolved, any additional amendments, including lighting, will require a revision of the special use permit. Be it further resolved that unless modified by this amended site plan, the terms and conditions of the original approval dated March 23rd, 2022 remain in full force and effect. And we need a motion and a second.
Motion,
I'll second.
Judy,
I move we accept the resolution as written, as read.
John had seconded, and
Third.
You made the motion.
I didn't make the motion.
Oh.
Ken made the
John
motion.
seconded.
Ken Topolsky made the motion, Tom seconded.
The foregoing resolution was voted upon with all members of the planning board voting as follows. Robert Boyle Jr.
Yes.
chairperson. Nina Peak, deputy chairperson.
Yes.
Ms. Zetler.
Yes.
James Walsh.
Yes.
John Stephanopoulos.
Yes.
Kenneth Topolsky.
Yes.
And Jamie DiPiero is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Mr. Chairman, I'll follow on with Judy and
Yeah,
John
I'll
tomorrow to
get
get that
those figures,
information.
so.
Thank you.
Good enough, you got it.
No lights.
Okay, we're going to our regular meeting, Hudson River Housing, Cascade Creek subdivision. Go ahead. Your floor.
Thank you. Good evening. Alec Glad from Cuddy and Fader. Thank you to those who came to the site visit. Peter and I stuck around after and we took some pictures along the roadway, so we'll be able to submit a photo log for the members that were unable to attend. So since we were here last month, we made some project changes that address two areas that were outlined at the last meeting as areas of concern for the board relative to you asking your consultants to start to prepare a resolution for a positive declaration under seeker. So the first area that we want to address was community character, and how we tried to address that through the supplemental submission is through enhancing the landscaping plan. So the first addition that we want to point out is that the plans now reflect that one tree will be added in each yard for the individual homes. So this is done with the purpose of breaking up the views of the homes on a lot-by-lot basis. We're also adding supplemental evergreens and deciduous trees along the northern tree line where there is some existing thinning of existing vegetation. And then lot 20, which is the house closest to the road, we are adding a board fence in order to screen that lot from the adjacent residents. Also, that will have the effect of screening some of the views onto the site when you're traveling south on 22. We're also proposing landscaping along the curb cuts, so that when you're briefly passing by, it hopefully blocks some views and softens the visual into the site. And then for Lot 1, which is, I know it's not the north orientation, but the way this is oriented, if that's the southern location of the homes, we're proposing a landscape buffer around that first home to try to screen the views looking in from the rest of the lots on the property. And then along the portion of the road near Cascade Road, we are adding a bunch of different maples in a staggered fashion to just fill in any potential gaps or the limited visibility that you may have when you're driving down Cascade Road. And then the septic areas in the front, we're proposing to seed those with a meadow mix that will be allowed to grow just to maintain the field-like character and provide some low-level screening. And these changes were in addition to some mitigations we had already proposed, such as the 30-foot buffer along the northern and eastern property lines to prevent any cutting of vegetation into perpetuity, and also the 60-foot buffer in the middle, which will preserve that existing brush and tree area in the middle of the site. So we included these, like I mentioned, to address the community character and make sure it's not negatively affected by minimizing or eliminating views into the site, and where it is visible, making sure that it is not obviously different from or in sharp contrast to the condition of the surrounding neighborhood. So that's on the community character. That's the list of evergreens, and if you have any screening, so if you have any feedback on specific type of plants or additional locations, we would of course love that feedback. And then on the second issue, that being the fire suppression and water supply, what we are now proposing is an additional 10,000 gallons to bring the total on-site reserve water supply to 40,000 gallons. So this can be done by one tank or two 20,000 gallon tanks, and we're proposing to place those at the fire district's preferred location that is reasonable on site. So seeking their input for what they think best might serve their needs. So this is based on Renia's further detailed analysis, which we had incorporated as Exhibit B to our submission. And in that, to briefly outline, and I believe Rich is here too to speak to it if you want more details, is that we looked at what we believe to be a more appropriate standard for a rural residential development, and that being the NFPA's standard on water supply for suburban and rural firefighting. And we think that is more appropriate than what the fire district used because they looked at the municipal water infrastructure standard. And we also included an analysis of the Insurance Services Offices, or ISO manual. And what this does is it provides minimum firefighting water supply recommendations to support acceptable insurance rates in the community. And based on Renia's analysis, when you look at both of those standards, they confirm that the original 30,000 gallon is sufficient, but we of course want it to be responsive to the board's concerns. So we're offering an additional 10,000 gallons in the hopes that addresses some of the issues outlined. And as to tie that back to the standard in the workbook, what that means is that off-site services don't need to be extended to meet the needs or the potential demand caused by the project, because we believe that there is adequate on-site water, and that's the standard from the seeker workbook that you should be considering when you're looking at this issue.
Pay attention to me. You're not gonna be there when it's on fire, are you? Just answer the question, is you yes or no?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm gonna be, right? See, here's the difference about water. Okay, I know what's gonna happen, and how it happens. You don't. I don't care what that guide says. We're a bunch of volunteer firefighters doing this. That guidebook's established a broad spectrum across the whole country, okay? We're in a little rural community here. Water's our main thing to put fires out, correct? Okay? So, if they're asking for 180,000 gallons, we should kind of consider that. I'm not saying it has to be that much, but that's, might not be quite enough. So we gotta come up with some sort of equal balance here. That's all I'm gonna state to that, because for what you're stating right now, I got a problem with that, because I'm the one out there fighting fires. No one else in this room doing it but me at this present time. Okay? So, we're gonna resolve this somehow, if this goes through, okay?
Yeah, no, I would like to, and if you have specific feedback, you know, more
I'll
than
get
just,
the right feedback from the right people, and we'll bring it back. Okay? So, The water supply thing, we'll work into that, but the rest of it, it's up to the rest of the board. That's my pet peeve, and you know that from the start. Because we're gonna have the attic, line on the water supply, the whole development catches on fire at once, God forbid it does, 'cause you go out to California, we have these mountain fires, what could very well happen here, it could be gone minutes. And that's not enough water, so, just saying.
My understanding is the tanks are gonna be under, not visible.
Yeah, so they'll be
Underground?
buried fiberglass tanks. I don't know if Peter or Rich wanna.
Dry hydrants for the fire department to access.
Yeah, I understand, I get that part, but.
I just want to echo what the chairman said. If you have winds like today, which is what they had in Altadena and Pacific Palisades, it goes from one house to the next to the next. I know. I have several friends who lost houses there. And it does go that quickly with winds, just like today. And if you don't have slate roofs, or you have just basically asphalt roofs or whatever, you're not gonna stop it.
Bob, I'm just curious on one question. How many gallons does it take? I mean, this is a very difficult question, but
No, not really.
to save one house.
It depends on the size house, that's number
Yeah,
one, it
yeah.
depends on what the
Like
involvement is,
3,500.
there's a lot of variables in there.
I'm just curious,
You know,
what would 40,000 gallons?
unfortunately, the great state of New York will not allow residential sprinklers, so I requested that got denied, but they're gonna do all this fireproof sheet rock and all they're going above and beyond the code what they have to do, which is great for the people buying homes, which is, they're doing all the right stuff.
Yeah, and just one point before Rich, just one thing before Rich steps in. We're not trying to minimize the concern or diminish it at all. We're just, the standard under seeker when you're making determinations are supposed to be based on clear evidence. So we are just trying to find a standard to tie it to so that we provide the appropriate
I understand
authority
that.
to make a decision. So,
I get it, believe me. I know,
I'm curious to know the answer to John's question.
length times width times height divided by 3.
It's in the proposal. It's in what we gave to you. So NFPA 1142 provides a methodology for calculating the amount of water recommended for a single particular house, and that's based on the volume of the house. So it's the square footage plus the
Length
actual
times width
height.
times height divided by 3.
Yeah,
tells
so you figure the whole volume, you go through their methodology, and what we came up with is about 6,700 gallons per house.
Per unit, right?
Yeah, per unit. So then, what we then said was, and it's in the summary of my letter, that from that, then if you do the math on 30,000 gallons, that's 4.4 houses on fire at the same time. If you go with what the applicant is proposing of 40,000, that's roughly 6 houses at the same time. So from an impact standpoint, what you have to, I guess, if I'm the board, I would be thinking about what is the real possibility of how many houses would catch on fire side by side at the same time. And I
Hopefully
don't think
not.
California is a
Hopefully
fair
zero.
comparison.
Hopefully it's 0.
That's the intent, and the building code is written that way today with all the
Exactly.
protections
I get it.
that are in the code and the electric code. So modern construction is a lot better.
By far, no argument.
And I think we've seen locally that most structure fires that have occurred happened during construction and not necessarily once construction is done and systems are approved and.
Give or take.
But the whole house fires that we saw were more of that nature. But that's the answer, that's the number, 6,700 for this, and that was based on the largest size house here, and it was a conservative estimate.
And that's based on a single level house.
Single level.
Now, that's on the second level. So what we did was we took the biggest, the largest, there's 3 house sizes. So we took some of them are 1 level, but there is a 1.5-story version. So we took the largest square footage and then figured on 1.5 stories on top of that as well, too. So that's how we came up with our
I'm
volume.
just saying we need to compromise. They're looking at it higher, I think it should be a little bit higher than that. We'll figure this out.
But we need a number.
All right,
So, and we'd like to work with you, and I know
We'll
the
get it.
applicant would like to work with you as
we'll
well,
get
too.
that number for you in the near future.
And just for the record, from an engineering perspective, and you have heard me say this, I am not the guy they call Christmas Eve in a
Exactly.
driving snowstorm to fight the fire, so I have no dog in this fight. But Rich's methodology and his use of that standard is in keeping with standard engineering practice, and
I get it.
I'm just saying That doesn't, again, I'm qualifying it, I'm not the guy out there, but the starting point that he has offered is a reasonable starting point. It is justifiable from an engineering perspective, and it runs with common engineering practice in a situation such as this. So I understand your position that there needs to be a balance, and I get that. But I think what Rich is saying is we need some type of objective target.
So the next question is to, who's gonna maintain it?
Well, what we had discussed before was the HOA would be responsible, and in particular, we had said that we'd put that burden on the water system operator, since the water system operator is gonna have to be there on a regular basis to test the water, to test the pressure, do the chlorination, so we're gonna have a water operator in there, probably 6 days a week. So we'll put that on their maintenance task list to make sure that the automatic fill valve is working. I think that's what we had discussed with this board and with the
Yeah.
actual fire district. The biggest thing is to make sure that the tank doesn't go dry.
I mean, correct, that's the biggest problem.
I have a question. Is there a physical limitation to the size that the tank can be based on the acreage and the overall coverage, building coverage? I mean, there must be some constraint on the size of one individual tank or multiple tanks within which you need to come in, thread that needle between what the standard methodology projects and what the fire district is saying that they need. Like, there must be some bookend there.
I think the bookend is gonna be what's reasonable, and then if you get into a very large tank, like what the fire district asked for the 180,000, that's basically the size of the tank for the whole hamlet of Amenia, which is 200,000. So
Right.
you would, if you had to go that route, you would really be putting up an elevated tank at that point.
Got it.
So
Okay. That's helpful to
that's
know.
something else to think of as it becomes an eyesore at that point, because you can't really, it's not a community tank as for
Generally
the whole
speaking, if
community.
you wanted to stay below grade where they are, I think you start to get a little overly big and create problems when you start to approach 50,000 gallons. They're getting pretty close at 40. And as Rich had said, I would probably stage 220s around the site so that the fire approach could draw both. But that's something to be determined with the first responders as to how they want that. But generally speaking, unless you got a lot of turnover, you don't like to get bigger than 50,000. I know the tank for Silo is what, 150, the buried one up on the hill?
150.
But that has
Yeah.
a great deal of turnover. So it has a quick fill as well. With fire booster pumps. So it's a different beast altogether, but it's a differently sized system. You know, once you get to a water system of serving the number of houses you serve, it's relatively small scale. And, you know, you don't invest a lot in that. And they have been very candid from front. They weren't proposing a water system that would generate fire flow. It would be basically domestic water only, which is allowable under the state code.
Yeah, definitely. I
So
understand that.
this is gonna be a balancing act, and as long as the fire district is willing to talk and apply some reasonable standards, I don't see why some type of agreement can't be reached.
I will personally go to the fire district and we'll figure this out, what they wanna do.
Okay.
That's-
And I do think that
And I'll get a hold of you and.
okay,
and we'll
that sounds
figure it
great.
out.
Okay.
We would like to do that, and I guess obviously sooner rather than later. But we do prefer a buried tank too for other reasons,
I understand
such
the
as
buried
the
tank.
maintenance of the tank.
I get
It
that
stays
part.
out of the sun, there's less maintenance with it, it's just well protected as time marches on.
Compared to the size of the septic field you've drawn, how big are the 20,000 gallon tanks?
It's probably like the length of two of the houses together, roughly. Or maybe the depth or the width of one of the lots.
Well, if you look at.
It'd be an 8 or 10 foot diameter tank.
You know, if you look at a fire vehicle, they usually have a 2,000 gallon tank.
1,000.
Thousand? That's a pretty big tank.
Yes.
You know, I looked at the comprehensive hydrological study you had, And from what you gave information today during our visit, you were estimating that a household would only use 300 gallons.
On average,
On
that's
an
a
average?
safe number to use.
John, have you had a chance to look at the hydrological study?
I did, and most of their numbers were actually fairly conservative, Jim, so I took no exception to them. Basically speaking, Board of Health, it's 110 gallons per bedroom, so what are these, 4-bedroom houses, 3-bedroom, I forget.
Yes.
So it's about 440 gallons per household. Generally speaking, you use about 75% of that during the course of a day, so.
Yeah,
which is
my main concern is the impact on the community around the site.
Now, there should be sufficient recharge and other from their site that it shouldn't have an impact. They're that close to the stream too. If anything, they're gonna draw water from the stream.
No, that's fine in the annual until it dries
I
up.
don't know if I like that.
What I'm saying is.
The water
way
cable's the water cable.
The way the water profile is underground, it all
Yeah.
heads toward the stream, so they're gonna draw. And whether the stream's not flowing or flowing, there's still water underneath the ground.
Yeah,
there.
when you don't see the water there, it's in the gravel
Whatever the
aquifer
water
below.
table is, I get it.
We can't get it for firefighting because it's not at the surface to drop a pump into.
Because that stream does dry up quite a bit.
Yes, 100%.
And it's gonna depend on what their wells produce and,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
That's the other thing, just for everybody to understand, that the goal here is that there's steps. There's seeker, and then there's preliminary subdivision plat. And that just gives the go-ahead to go out and actually do more of the work, which part of that is drilling the drinking water wells and testing them. So there'll be a whole protocol on that has to be done. And then whenever this project then gets that done and then comes back to ask for an actual final plat approval, there will be the flow studies done on the well. Each well that's drilled will have to have a 72-hour pump test. So it's 3 days pumping the individual well continuously and monitoring the other adjacent wells. So we would be able to have a lot better information at that time to be able to tell you how much water that the wells that were drilled are able to pump and then what the effect is. So this doesn't just end here. This is, you get a very hard look at it at the final plat approval stage.
Well, water runs downhill, so I'm just wondering if there'd be an impact on neighbors in the area and their wells. That's my thought.
Well, that's what the WSP report was to give this board information on the aquifer as it is now, what impacts that this may have, and the recharge available. Everybody who was at the site walk today got a sense of how large the area is, and they are very porous soils, so that site does provide a lot of recharge every time that it rains.
Yeah.
And that's part of that WSP report. That's how we get our water back into the aquifer, is
One of the
through the
reasons that
recharge.
the Board of Health requires you do a 72-hour pump test is that you do have to monitor the groundwater level. So if and when it reaches that point, oftentimes you do ask permission from nearby homeowners to monitor their wells to get a clear picture. It's not, and oftentimes people will say yes. There's a hold harmless, and there's some other guarantees and paperwork that need to go with it. But it's oftentimes it's done, and if need be, sometimes they'll put in monitoring wells just to monitor their pump tests. So it's not a simple proposition. You do have to demonstrate that you're not negatively affecting the neighbors as part of that testing procedure.
Okay.
And the 3 days of testing is to simulate a stressed condition, such as a drought condition, such as a summer when you don't see the water in the stream. But that's the idea of
Well, we
it.
have the maximum.
Yeah, that's the standard in New York and pretty much around the country to say, let's put it into a stress condition and see what happens. And if it doesn't fare well, then the project doesn't have water.
Okay, now, the people went on the site visit, and some of us have some concerns, I guess, and we'll start out with Kenny first.
Okay, I have a couple of concerns. The white pipes that you had out there, if you look down the center of the tube, the water is well above the ground level. and I believe they were where your septic system was going to be, so you should probably take a look at that.
Yeah, those are, that's part of the WSP report, if you read into that, that we left the pipes there for monitoring, so we could monitor what the groundwater does throughout the seasons.
So now you can see the groundwater is above. There are also some of the neighbors who have let me know that their basements are flooded. If you look at the creek, it's pretty high right now. Just want to make sure that we do everything to make sure. We talked about the swales and whatnot. Now my concerns after the site visit, which, thank you, it was pretty illuminating, and there were some things that I was pretty, impressed with what you were doing. I want to start with something very, very basic. I want to read from the comprehensive plan, which is our aspirational guide to what we want the town of Amenia to be. This is on page 50, if you'd like to note. The affordable unit selling price are indexed to the median income of residents of the area or to the average salary of municipal or school district employees. Town or school district employees or current Amenia Emergency Services volunteers can be given preference priority in the sale or rental of such units. The difficulty with such program, however, is that it requires substantial oversight. I also know that you have to be careful that you're not violating any laws, but according to Claude and according to ChatGPT, there are ways to have a point system that favors, don't shake your head, you tell Claude, you tell AI, and they have cited the various ways that you can do this to make sure that our seniors, that our first responders, that we really are looking at how do we come up with a system that really treats the residents here in towns who, as fairly within the bounds of the law. So I'm going to ask that you research that and you come back to us with that. Please don't anyone shake their heads. It's really disappointing. It makes me want to just react personally, which I'm trying not to do. So, that's the first thing. The second thing is, which was a problem, and I brought this up, and Mary assured me that it would not be a Levittown. However, in looking at the plans and looking at everything you've generated, there's a homogeneity to all of the houses. I would like to ask that you offer more models. Maybe you put some eaves on some to break it up. Maybe it just, so it does not all look the same. You're looking at Steven Spielberg's Suburbia. That's great if you're making $200 million off it, but we're not doing that. I would ask for more models, and I would ask for something that breaks up the visual when you're looking down the streets. One other thing is there's all this, and it's probably all just a bunch of town talk and that sort of thing. Do you have the rights to develop the property? Do you own the property? There's been talk that the property is not owned by HRH. So I want to make sure we're not going through this and you have the permission, or if that's, or that could be totally non-factual, I would ask that you talk to their attorney. I don't need an answer now, and you find that out.
We have a pending contract for sure.
Yeah, we'll make sure, I'll follow up with Alec, and we'll make sure we have a letter of authorization if we don't have
Yeah,
one.
it's in your application. It's in the application, that the owners sign that. And then there's an option contract, which is typical for a developer.
Just asking the question.
Yes, yes. And then also, just to tag on what you said about the homogeneity, the houses, we did say that the houses shown on here were generically represented as the largest possible, so the board can understand the impacts. So when you look at the plan, don't think that every house is going to be the same exact shape. They did present 3 different models. And then the landscaping and the street trees are to break that up too, so it's not just you're seeing house after house.
If you could provide a little more.
These are the 3 models that were submitted.
Can I ask that no 2 of the same or no 3 of the same be in a row? I would like to see something like that so that we're not looking at, oh look, there's the Model A.
Yeah, I think we can talk
Those are the
to.
Model A people.
And to your point, Ken, I mean, these are gonna be all broken up in the facades, the textures, the surfaces, the angles, the roof shapes, all that stuff is gonna be broken up.
Do you have any idea what the units are going to cost?
I'll turn that one over to Mary. It's been some different numbers have been tossed around.
I'm done.
The subsidized price is
I move for
around
adjournment.
236 at this point.
236?
Point of order though,
point of order?
What? Go ahead.
Ken, are you done?
Yes.
Ken's done.
I move we adjourn.
No. So
Jim, you got anything else?
Yeah, I just, the other thought I had was, I did ask you about, when we were doing the visit, about some of the homes are right up against, the houses bordering Route 22. You got, 2 or 3 sites there, maybe 3 or 4 sites?
It's, against Route 22, it's just the first one when you pull in at the upper driveway. That's the closest.
No, I'm talking about, the sites, that border, houses that are on 22.
Yeah, the houses to the north of the site, yes. That's where we pointed out that we're proposing fencing and we're proposing enhanced vegetation, and then the no-cut zone, so then that stays green to establish the hedgerow like what's surrounding the rest of the property.
Okay, all right. So, can you tell me what type of vegetation you're talking about, putting there to,
We have called out crabapple trees, spruces, which are fast-growing evergreens, and a holly. So these are all pretty dense-growing trees, and so we figured that's the most appropriate in that.
Yeah,
that
so,
order.
so you end up with 2 evergreens. The American holly has a nice shiny leaf but stays green all year, and then the spruce stays green all year. And then the crabapple is to mix in the deciduous
I'm
and,
just
and be
concerned,
habitat
yeah,
as
that-
well.
I mean, sure, you're gonna have some construction going on for, when you, if you have the site going. But when you have the site going, I just wanna make sure that the neighbors around the neighborhood are protected.
Yes, and that's what the applicant wants as well, too.
Mr. Renia, right now, though, following up on your question, it's only showing that buffer up to this second or third house. Is it intended to extend more, or is that where it stops?
That's where it stops, because that's where the clearing the buffer gets pretty dense once you get past that point, and then at that point, we're cutting down more trees than we would be replacing it with.
Okay, so the board should just weigh in on whether they think what's proposed is adequate, or whether, you know, you like
But
the
the-
species or want something different.
And the strip continues around as a no-cut zone, so the trees that you saw today on the site walk, they stay, and neighbors can't, whoever buys the lot cannot go out there and just cut them. That's the idea of the no-cut zone. So it stays as a buffer.
And how would that be enforced?
That would have to be through the HOA, I believe. If somebody does that, the way I would envision it is that there's legal action taken. The HOA would have to go replant it and then back charge the owner if they were to do that.
Would you give the town a right of enforcement as well?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I know.
Yeah, the town typically in a situation like this requests the right, not the obligation.
Right. Yeah, in
So-
case the HOA doesn't perform its
In
duties.
case somebody
it's-
doesn't perform, we can step up and perform for them, not too dissimilar than we have some other places here in town, as you're aware.
Yeah, and also if it's made a condition of the subdivision approval, then it's an enforceable condition through that
Understood.
mechanism also.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
We'll get there.
Got something else, Ken?
Well, there was lot number 20.
Lot number 20?
Yeah, I think we all had some concerns, that's right on on 22. And it's troubling to us. I mean, some of us who spoke. Is there any way to put that somewhere else? Is there any way to
We
not
can-
have that?
We can look at that 100%. I mean, I can't give you an answer,
No,
yes or
I'm just
no,
saying
but,
it is something
but
that is
we can
concerning.
absolutely look at it and talk about it.
Losing it, great.
I have some concerns myself. That's, you know, of course, if one was a fire, but I firmly believe we should be one way in and out.
Okay.
I've been an entrance on the north, an exit on the south. The reason I'm saying that is because I know the tractor trailers would get built up here, would stop, to go to the restaurants, to the plaza or whatever, south of 22. So when if you're coming out of there, you're not gonna see that well the northbound traffic coming up the hill.
If you're at which entrance,
Enter to the north and exit
Yeah.
out to the south.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
But what were you saying you're not gonna see if you're at which exit?
At the southern entrance.
If you're at the southern entrance?
You know. Then the other concern was, as we talked about, was a crosswalk. If someone to talk, we need to, either this board has to talk to the state, see if we can get a crosswalk put in, or some sort of sidewalk to go down to the plaza on this side of the road or something, I don't know. But, I think that's a really good idea to have some sort of crosswalk and sidewalk there
Yes,
for
yeah.
the people
And that's
who
what we
live
had,
there.
we had discussed that, that the traffic consultant said that it doesn't meet the state's warrant for
Right,
a
okay.
crosswalk, but we will definitely ask them to consider it, and especially if the board says that they would like it, like, you know, maybe even a letter from the board.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea myself personally, if this goes through or not. I'm not saying it will or won't, but,
And I think we need to ask the one-way question to New York State DOT as well,
Yeah,
too.
I'd ask them that question also.
We're certainly willing to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I think Mary's very flexible
Yeah, with that, I
about,
think it's a great
about
idea
that.
to get them one way in, one way out. And why isn't it gonna be not blacktop?
Who said it wasn't,
Yeah.
who said it wasn't gonna be
It's blacktop? 'Cause
Yes.
To the county standard.
Okay, because it was
Yeah.
brought to my attention, it was gonna be blacktop. and
Yeah,
the highway
absolutely.
superintendent asked me that, so I said I wouldn't.
Yeah, in the plan packet, the sheet that's, shows the road and the road profiles, there's a detail in there, and it
I
shows,
saw it did,
it
but-
shows the subbase and it shows the courses of pavement. So it's absolutely a paved road to the town standard, which the town construction standard of a road is the Dutchess County
Sure,
standard.
just wanna make sure of that.
Yes, absolutely paved.
Okay?
Could you copy, please, Mr. Andrews and the chair on correspondence with DOT so they can participate?
Sure, there's been no correspondence yet as far as a work permit application submitted, but absolutely, any of that. That would be our number one thing to start with, that, the health department, after there's a preliminary, plat approval, and then after seeker determination, because typically those agencies, they look to see where the project has gotten before they're gonna spend time on it. Because
Right.
they would look at it and say, well, this isn't a serious project, so we're not even gonna answer you.
Well, I think for this case, I think this is going to weigh on the board's seeker review.
Okay.
So I think it would be good to try and get a conceptual
Okay,
letter out of
okay.
them at least.
All right, so you're asking us to reach out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strongly
Right.
suggest it.
Oh, well, I think it's either, you know, an absolute request or not a suggestion. We'll take that as a request.
Yes.
Is the request to put the crosswalk down by the Freshtown entrance or at the more southerly entrance of the site?
Well, that's where there'd have to be a little bit more of an analysis
Right.
to analyze where the pedestrians go. I think there's benefits to closer to Freshtown, but then there's also a shopping plaza right across from the southern entrance with a deli in it. So that, you know,
Right.
that is something that would have to be considered into it.
And I think as you get toward the Freshtown entrance, you run into conflicts between the guide rail, the large culvert pipe that crosses.
Yep.
There's mitigating factors that DOT would tend to keep you away from there. So it may, as Rich
Yeah.
indicated, it may be up closer to the entrance and maybe, you know, more appropriate across, you know, joined to their access roads.
Okay.
And
And there's
especially
a
when,
sidewalk proposed on the west side of 22, on your side?
no, we don't
No.
have a sidewalk
Okay.
proposed.
I'm just wondering, did you consider maybe, since we're talking about 28 houses, and people are probably in and out during the day, whatever, have you thought about maybe putting in a turn lane?
The traffic consultant did the traffic counts and the traffic study, which does not show a warrant for a turn lane on Route 22. That's what you're talking about, right? On Route
Right, because
22.
that intersection.
Right, so it
there-
doesn't show a need for that because the traffic volumes are so low. However, when this goes to DOT, they have the right to review and request things. They oftentimes, too, will bring to the table some regional issue or some regional mandate or something that we might not even know about yet.
But I think to Jim's point and to your point, if you made it's sort of a one-way loop north to south, then that actually would have less conflict with folks turning left in than it would if you were at Old North, where there's already this sort of offset intersection, which is
Right,
problematic.
it gets that traffic,
and
the
the
left
traffic, right?
turns
So, like,
further north.
it sort of addresses that issue as well.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about people's safety, especially at that intersection on Mygat Road there, old Route 22. Yeah, that could be kind of tricky.
Bajamani?
Yeah, actually, I have a question for my colleague, Mr. Topolsky. You began your comments by saying that during the site visit, you saw some things that were exceptional, which I would assume you mean positive.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what those were?
Sure. I like the idea of the swales going along each of the driveway. That seemed to address direction of the water. Also that it was treated water that would be running down. It's not just raw water, that they were treating the water that they were disposing of. So it was mostly along that sort of thing, environmental friendly. In terms of the layout of the property, there was nothing that really assuaged my concerns, which I expressed. So I would like to see those concerns that I have addressed before we take any further action. And to that end, I'd be willing to withdraw my positive declaration resolution pending receipt of the response to today's concerns.
Thanks. And I just have one more question for Mr. Renia. On the site visit today, during the lower half of the visit where the conservation areas are.
Yes,
it
down by
seems-
the garden.
Yeah, it seemed to me that because there's a slope downward toward the creek, visibility of the houses in that area would not be seen from Route 22. Is that consistent with your understanding?
Yes, yes. So if you're coming up Route 22, and that's part of the reason why it was modeled this way as well too. So if you're heading north on Route 22, on your right-hand side, once you get past where the wine store is now, you start to see some development.
Mm-hmm.
But north of the town hall, there's nothing on your right-hand side, and then you start to see the commercial development. And then after that, there's a little bit of development right across from the Fresh Town. And then there's the open field. So here we maintain on the left-hand side the open fields that you see.
Yeah.
And then just north of the north entrance is where there's the existing single-family homes up here. So we have the first house, there's just that one house on the lot that was in question here tonight. That's where that first house starts, and that's why that's the only house on Route 22, because it made sense that that was part of that housing, the house community that you see when you come up Route 22.
Mhm.
But it was intentionally left to keep those open fields and stick the houses further back in. And then this landscape plan you're looking at, the house on the end, kind of think of it as the end cap. Anything that's an end cap house, we've added more trees to solidify that you're seeing field and green. It's not to completely camouflage the entire house, but as you walked around today, you could see some other houses through the trees, and it softens. You don't see the entire house, but you can tell there's a house back there, but you just don't see the entire house.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on Mr. Topolsky's comment, I think if you propose a series of notes on the subdivision plat addressing the layout of the various models and maybe colors, those sorts of things might help with some of the visual impact concerns.
Yeah, and we could actually, Peter and I have actually spoke about it too. We could look at the different housing models and take our best shot as saying, we think this house model fits the best on this lot. Because each lot is configured a little bit differently, and that's gonna naturally happen. But we can ensure that that happens a little bit
Well, and there
too.
might be another model or two that you add in to make it look more like a natural community than one that was all built at the same time.
We can absolutely
Yes.
look at that.
I would say if all of what I've articulated concerns me the most. I've heard many people say on both sides of the discussion, can you put in a point system? Can you mandate, what are the restrictions you can put on applicants, or not restrictions, but what are the incentives applicants can have? Our job, we're here because we're here to service Armenia. And for us to not consider all of the seniors who can't afford housing, all of those young families, I want to make sure that the applicant researches to the fullest extent possible how they can help make sure that our neighbors have housing they can afford, and we have serviced them. And I think that's the most important thing we can do. in this project, unless anyone disagrees.
We can reach out to the Fair and Equal Housing Office of New York State. We've
Yeah.
been reading fair housing laws and trying to follow them, but we will ask those exact questions to the office.
Yeah, and I've gone, obviously, with AI, and especially Claude's really good. It gives you case law, it gives you various, it's a pretty good shortcut. Keep paying your attorney.
Yeah, my concern would be that, just to piggyback on what Ken said, if there would be consideration to the volunteers in this particular case. You know, we have a fire district, it's 100% volunteers. And you wonder how these people can afford to live here. So I was wondering if there would be a preference in that respect.
If we are allowed to do it, I mean, we've done this other communities, they've since rewritten fair housing laws. So those were grandfathered in, but we've always had that point system and priority system in place until these fair housing laws were rewritten. So we will certainly write to the Fair and Equal Housing Office of New York State and propose a point system that will always have volunteer firefighters, volunteer responders, school teachers, all of them.
Thank you.
Planning board members?
We're all volunteers here.
And planning board members.
I am not, for the right, let the record show, I am not getting paid for this.
Where we need to go from here?
So, I think you guys had a good discussion. You got a lot of feedback tonight on some project mitigation techniques. Mr. Topolsky, do you want to make a motion to table the POS deck until you receive more information, to table
Yes,
further discussion on the POS
will
deck?
Table the POS deck, pending receipt of the information requested this evening.
Okay.
Need a second on that?
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Council and engineer, is it okay if we copy you on these letters to Theo?
Sure, please.
Please do.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just want to
Less
make,
important that the engineer gets that kind of stuff unless it's engineering. It's more important council gets it.
and then I
would
just,
like to see any responses from Department of DEFO, or whoever they are these days. Okay, thank you.
and then I just want to make sure it's clear for the chairman as your lead fire representative from the board that we were able to work with an offline meeting to try to work on that topic.
Need a motion on it, I guess? Clarify it?
So
You
moved.
okay with- you know with it?
We don't really need.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you need a motion, but I just want to make it clear in the record that
I'm
we're
good
gonna
with that.
do that.
Okay.
I think it
Report
would all
back.
be prudent for John to sit in on those too, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If you need me.
If I need you, I can handle
You
this.
can always slap me around.
It's nice to have a third
Oh, I know.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you for the input.
You're
Nice
welcome.
walking with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Dan,
you.
it was
Gain the
1,800
country with
steps.
friends.
Yeah, I got like 10,000 steps.
So I got well over that. Well over that.
Check for ticks.
Check for
Murphy
ticks,
likes to
check for
walk in
ticks,
with-
Neil.
Thanks for bringing your dog too.
Just, for the record.
I have a copy, thank you.
Site visit, there was only.
Thank you.
The applicant.
They,
No discussion between board members,
Yes.
no substantive discussion.
At the site plan today, at the site plan visit, there was no discussion amongst us board members. We were just there.
And not everybody was.
Not everyone was there. We were there to observe the site, and that's what we did. Exactly what we're supposed to do. Just so you all know.
We did have a quorum.
Yeah,
With that being said,
We did.
it
but it wasn't a meeting.
wasn't a meeting. Into our regular meeting, we're past that. Other matters is a lot, 12/11/26 meeting. 2/11/26 meeting.
I sent you comments, yeah?
Is there, the comments or any other comments or deletions need to be made? If not, we need a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion on a new time, we're gonna change it to 1,800 hours instead of,
What time is it?
6 o'clock. Okay.
I did go and take a look at the, I'm sure you guys did too, right, the new planning board regs?
I haven't gotten them yet.
Oh, it's posted on,
Let me email you
general
that.
code as, at the top, but we
Did I
don't
email
need to
that?
ask the
No.
town board
I-
The chapter.
if we
I
wanna
didn't
do
get it.
this. If we wanna change our time, just a point of clarification. We can just do
I
it,
Go ahead.
yes.
You don't have to
You
ask
said
the
that
board, but you
maybe
you
able
don't
to
have to.
redline
I need to change it on the website.
Yeah, we also, it was
Send it
it's
to
a
you,
little
but
unclear in
Probably not as
here,
good as
but
Claude.
it seems to indicate that we need a public hearing for it, but can you take, which makes no sense at all, but,
Just make sure you post it so people are aware that you changed the time. That's on the website.
okay, so Victoria, maybe you read this.
It says that we need, may I see? It says we need a public hearing to change the meeting time?
When
was this?
Here it says, this is what the new law says. The planning board may adopt rules and regulations with respect to procedures before it and with respect to any subject matter over which it has jurisdiction under this chapter, or any statute after public hearing by the planning board.
I would argue that a meeting time is neither a rule nor a
Good.
regulation. It is simply the time to meet.
Excellent. I love that.
So, here's it one more time. Whatever it says, do we agree on changing the time to 1,800 hours or not?
We do.
Yes, sir.
I do.
Okay?
I'll
Real
make the
simple.
motion.
Sir, yes.
Make it a motion. Need a second. All in favor? Aye. So carried.
So,
Does
Next
this
meeting-
start with the next
commencing-
meeting?
Commencing
Commencing-
next meeting,
next
or the
meeting.
first meeting in,
Commencing at the next meeting.
Commence at the next meeting.
Do we have any public hearings scheduled that we would need to change the time
I don't
on?
have anything.
Okay, so great,
Nothing
great time to do it.
So,
March 25th.
25th.
so
March
let's-
25th.
6 o'clock.
It's now 6 PM here in this room.
Yes.
All right, and so, Rosanna, who do we need to tell to get that changed on the calendar?
You need to either contact Erica or the town clerk so she can update it on the website. So,
All right.
on your page.
And
Yeah, you're
and
right.
our IT consultant can be here at the new time?
Matt?
Matt, can you be here at 6 o'clock?
Okay.
He's here.
Thank you.
So Judy, you'll let Erica know to change on the calendar? Cool.
We should post something on the website too, just a broad message, like you would have.
One of those.
Yeah, like a banner.
Yeah.
New time, for like a.
Before we adjourn, whoever's out there in the public listening to us, there's a burn ban on starting the 16th of this month and goes through May 15th. So just, there's no open burning, just so everyone's aware of it. Okay, with that all being said, we need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Next meeting is on the 28th at 1,800 hours.
25th.
25th?
Who seconded the?
I need a second and an all,
25th, yeah, 25th,
I'll
I'm sorry,
second it.
25th.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What's on the agenda for the next meeting?
Nothing